So when an expression or statement involves multiple operators, or when an expression or a statement operators, Python resolves the order of execution through operators precedence. So when an expression involves multiple involves operators, Python resolves the order of execution through operators precedence. So I'm drawing one table and I will show you, okay, how the operator precedence is going to work. So here I'm writing operator, here I'm writing description. First is parent or grouping, we call it exponentiation. The third one is complement operator. The next one is plus x minus x, right? So this is positive or negative unary op. The next one is multiplication, then division, then we have lower division, then we have modulus, right? Or floor division, and then we have modulus. So multiplication, floor division, remainder, remainder, remainder. Okay. So these things are there. Then we have plus and minus. So these are addition. Then we have bitwise and then we have caret symbol, which is bitwise XOR. Then we have OR operator, logical OR, right? Or sorry, this is bitwise OR operator, and then we have relational operators like less than, then less than, equal to, then greater than, equal to. We have not equal to. There is another not equal to, that is like this, equal to, and then we have equal to. These are comparison or relational operators. And there is another thing over here, identity operators. I missed it out. Identity operators are comma, is and is not is. So this is identity. This is, they have the same precedence. Then we have not x, which is Boolean not. So we draw the here we draw the precedence, right? So we go to this shapes, and I need this arrow. So this is the highest here. This is the highest, highest, and this one is the lowest. So highest priority to lowest, 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 right? Highest priority to lowest, right? It is like this. Fine. So this is how the precedence of the operators work, right? So as we experience the Python, we will understand the precedence of the operators. So if you remember a few of them, say for example, the precedence of the multiplication, division, float division, or remainder operator is always higher than the precedence of addition and addition or subtraction. The precedence of unary operator is always higher than the precedence of any operation, right? So first we decide whether the number is positive or negative, and then we calculate, right? So, and exponential is always having the higher precedence, and the operations which is present in the parentheses have always the higher precedence. So they will be performed first, and the result will be used for other type of operations, right? And you can see that key OR operator have the lowest precedence. It is lower than the AND operator. So you just remember these things, and you can think that key all the Boolean operator have the lower precedence than the relational operators, right? So if you have written the expression if A is greater than B and is greater than B and B is greater than C, it means that okay, this expression will evaluate, then this expression will evaluate. First it will evaluate this one, then it will evaluate this one, and then 1 and 2, then 1 and 2 will be evaluated. That is the third part of the expression. This is the first part of the expression will be evaluated, this is the second part of the expression that is evaluated, and this is the third part, right? 1 and 2. Okay, so this is how highest to lowest it will work. Fine. Okay, so this is how operators precedence work, and as we get experience, we will know about it. Okay, so next thing is operators associativity. You need to understand the operators associativity, how they are associated with the operators, right? So next concept is operator. How operators are associative, right? So Python allows multiple operators in single expression. Fine. So for example, you can write expression like A is less than B plus 2 less than C, right? So you can write this kind of an expression, or you can write down an expression P is less than Q and Q is greater than R. So you can write this kind of an expression. Fine. So Python will execute this kind of expression without any problem, right? But it will maintain the precedence, right? Which is the higher precedence that will be evaluated first, and then it will execute everything, right? So in case of associativity, right? In case of associativity, and it helps to determine the order of operation. So let me write here associativity. Yeah, definitely unary operators always comes first. Yeah, it is the first. I have said that a unary operator comes first. You can see that unary operators precedence is always higher than the binary operators, like arithmetic operators. All the arithmetic operators are binary operators. So I have said that. Yeah, exponentiation means ke exponentiation is is not at all associated with the unary operator, right? So exponentiation will execute separately and then unary operator. Fine. So exponentiation having always the highest priority. Okay. Okay. So let me continue with this. Yeah, Subhalakshmi, I'm coming up with the example, so you will be acquainted with that one. Okay. So associativity. So associativity is the order is the order in which an expression having having multiple operators of same precedence of same precedence is evaluated is is evaluated, right? So almost all operators left to right right, associative enunciation has right to left, right to left, right to left associate. This means in case of operators with same precedence in same expression, the operator on the left is evaluated first, and then the operator is on the right, and so on. So this is how it is being done. So let me show you one example. So how it is being worked. We'll go to Python shell, and I'm going to write. I've written here 8 multiplied by 7 divided by 5, then float division by. So what will be the result of this expression? Yes, Subbalakshmi, I have understood the problem which you are facing. I will clear it out. Don't worry. Huh? So if I've written 8 into 7 by 5 and then exponentials, then a float division by 2, what will be the result for? So it will execute like this. So all the operators have the same precedence here, and it will execute like first it will execute 8 into 7. First it will execute 8 into 7, which makes 56, right? Then 56 divided by 5. So 56 divided by 5 is equal to 5 ones are 5, 5 ones are 5, and a point and 2, 11.2. 11.2 floor division by 2. Okay, so the floor division will give you 2 fives are 10, right? Floor division will give you 2 fives are 10, and point, and you will get here 6, right? 5.6. But as we are doing floor division, so this 0.6 part will be removed. This part will be removed, and in the answer you will get 5.0, right? So this is how it will work. Let me do it in the Python shell. You can see that it is producing the result 5 point. So if we write the whole thing in this kind of brackets also, it will have the 5.0. So bracket is used to give the clear indication ki which operation I wants to do first, and which operation I wants to do next, and which operation I wants to do next, right? But if you're not providing brackets, then Python will evaluate according to the precedence, right? So because the brackets precedence is high, so according to that we can provide. Next thing is that, okay, let me play with this part, right? So let me write this in this way. If I write this as 8 multiply by 8 multiply by divided by 5. If I do floor division of, then what will be the answer? Please write it down on the chat window. What will be the answer? So we get 0 0.0 as a answer. Only one person has written the answer. So answer is 0 0.0. So I'm shifting to the, my screen is visible to everyone, right? So please type out the answer, what answer we are going to get. 28. 28. Two people have answered 28. So just how much you got? 28. Okay. So let me see what answer we are going to get. So what will happen here? Okay, first the inner bracket will execute 5 floor division 2. This will be executed. So it will give me 2.0, right? Then it is divided by 7, right? So 7 divided by 2.0 will generate 3.5, right? And if you multiply with 8, you will get, so 8 5s are 40 or 0, carry over 4. 8 3s are 24 plus 4, 28. So you will get 28.0. So answer is correct, right? So let me see how much we are getting. We are getting 28.0. Now come to the exponential part, right? So let's come to the exponentiation part, right? So now we have, because exponential enunciation part is having some importance, because it is uh, it is showing the right associativity of the operators. Okay. So what is a right associativity of the operator? So an expression, right? So what we are going to do here, okay, we will write here. So for example, we'll write one expression like 2 star star, and then 3, then star star, then 4. What will be the output for this? So it's going to be pretty big out there, control V. So it is right associativity first, then it will be 3 to the power of 3 to the power of 4, right? And then it will be the power of 2. The result will be the power of 2 because it is right associativity. So it will be evaluate first 3 to the power of 4. This will be evaluated 3 to the power of 4. And then this result is a power of, so this value is going to be very big, right? So let me see what value we are going to get. So it's going to be very big value. So this value this is the value we have got. Fine. So let me try with simple examples. Say for example, let me try with some simple examples like say 3 double star 3 then double star. What this will return, right? So it will evaluate first 3 to the power of 2. What it will do, it will evaluate this first, right? That is 3 to the power of 2, and the result of this will be 3 to the power of this, right? So this is how it will be evaluated. So it will be 3 to the power of 9, right? So it is going to be big. So 3 to the power of 9. So you can see that okay, it will be evaluating like this 3 to the power of 3 to the power of 2. So it will be 19683. It's going to be big. So if you write here 2 to the power of 3 to the power of 2, say to the power of 2. So 3 to the power of 2 is 9 and 2 to the power of 9 is 512, right? So you can see that the result is 512. So now let me talk about some critical thing which most of the people have doubt. 2 to the power of 81. Yeah, you are fine. Yeah, it's correct. 2 to the power of 81. That is 3 to the power 4 is 81. All right. So this is equal to 2 to the power of 8. So 2 to the power of 81 is okay. So next, let's talk about some confusion. All right. So when I have said that ki unary operator have the lower precedence than the exponentiation operator, right? So what will happen here? Ki when we say, for example, there is a variable called x and it is containing a value of -2, right? Okay. So if we write this x to the power of 3, right? So it will evaluate -2, right? It will evaluate -2 into -2 into -2, right? It will evaluate this -2 into -2 into -2, and it will generate the result -8, right? But if we apply the unary operator here, right? If we apply the unary operator here, this is the unary operator, right? It will generate the result +8. It will generate the result +8 because it will evaluate after the minus uh, after the this exponentiation operator. It will generate after the exponentiation operator. So this is unary operator. This is unary operator, right? So it will generate after the exponentiation operator. So here people have loads of doubt that why sir, why are you saying that -2? Because you have to assign -2 firstly, right? So whether the value is positive or negative, right? So it will not evaluate, right? That is not an evaluation. That is what we have decided the value. That is not evaluation. But here it is evaluation. When I'm doing this is called evaluation. Try to understand the difference between evaluate and value value. The value can be negative, right? Value can be -2 +2, right? It can be -3 -5 6 7, anything. It can be, value can be anything. But when we are evaluating, right? When we are evaluating, so this is evaluation, right? This is unary evaluation. So unary evaluation will take place later, right? Evaluation. Understood? So that this whole thing is considered as value, This whole thing is considered as value. This whole thing is considered as value, positive value or negative value. Here evaluation will not take place, right? But here evaluation will take place. Here evaluation will take place, right? So I hope now idea is clear. And now if I do the experiment, you can able to understand. Okay. So what I'm doing here, that okay, if I'm writing here, say -2, right, 3. Okay. Now you can see that result is -8. Okay. But -2 is not evaluating, means the unary operator is not evaluating. But if I write minus, right, and then I will write -2, okay, and then I will write here 3, and now you can see the result. So unary operator has evaluated later on, right? I hope now idea is clear for you people and the confusion is gone, because this is the biggest confusion in the head of student and in the head of even the working people also. So I hope idea is clear for you people regarding this. So next thing is called expression, right? The next conception is called expression in Python. In Python, an expression in Python is any valid combination of operators, literals, and variable, right? So what do you mean by an expression? An expression in Python is any valid and variable. So an expression is composed of one or more operations, operators as the constituent. So here we talk about something called atoms, right? There is a concept called atom, right? So what is an atom? So atom is something that has identifiers, literals, string, list, tuples, sets, right? Dictionaries, etc. are all atoms, etc. are all understood. So this is called atom. So a valid combination of atoms and operators form a Python, a valid, a valid combination of valid combination of atoms and operators form a Python expression. So atoms I have explained is something that has a value, identifier, literals, strings, list, tuples, whatever. So the expression, so Python, something that has an atom is something that has a value, right? So all of these are atoms in Python, like identifiers, literals, values in closures such as quotes, right? So say for example, string is also a value, right? Everything is a value in Python. Okay, so the expression in Python can be of any type: arithmetic expression, string expression, relational expression, logical expression, compound expression, right? So a Python, the expression can be any, can be can be any of maybe arithmetic, right? Arithmetic expression, string expression, relational expression, logical expression, or compound expression. So we know all these expressions, right? Arithmetic expression, relational expression, logical expression. We have seen all these, right? We know you never heard about string expression, right? So we can, what is string expressions? We know arithmetic expression, right? We know arithmetic expression, we know relational expression, we know logical expression, we know compound expression, right? When you write down a statement like this, if A is greater than B and B is greater than C, right? So this is called compound expression. This is called compound expression, right? You have seen this, but I'm talking about string expression, right? What is string expression? So when you write, say for example, we write S is equal to Satyendra, and I'm writing here S1 is equal to Mishra. This is my first name and the last name. If I write here name is equal to s plus space plus s1, right? So this name variable will contain Satyendra space. So this name variable will contain. So this is how it will work. So this is how it will work. So if we write here, say for example, s1 is equal to, say I've written my name here. Then if we write here name is equal to s1 plus space plus s2. So it will generate, it will store, if you write here name, it will show you the content of the name, which is Satyendra Mishra. And this is called as the string expression, right? So this is called string expression. So now you people may ask me, sir, you are using plus operator and you are adding to string. Can we use minus operator? Answer is no. You cannot do that. So here this operation is called, this is string expression operation, right? This operation is called concatenation. Is called concatenation. There is another type of an string expression we can generate. That expression is called replication, right? Replication. Replication of string is also possible in Python. Is also possible in Python, right? So it is a replication of the string is also possible in Python, and it is done with the help of multiplication operator. This is star operator or the multiplication operator. So if I write here, so if I write here my, if I write here S1 multiply by 10, right? So it will print, print 10 Satyendra, right? If I write here name multiply by 3, right? Name multiply by 3, it will print my name 3 times, right? Satyendra Mishra, Satyendra Mishra, Satyendra Mishra, right? So no, it will not print the extra space. It will not print the extra space. uh, for that, what we have to do, let me give a try here. Name multiply by 3, multiply by 3, and if we write, no, it will not print the extra space in between, because we are not using it, because we are not because what we are doing, we are replicating the variable, and we have to use this thing with a print command. In that case, if you write here print name into 3 comma sep is equal to sep is equal to space. So it is not going to print. Fine. So it is going to print name into 3, right? Because what it will do now, it will multiply the, or it will concatenate the content. It will concatenate the content one by one, right? And you can store this, right? Say I'm writing here m name, and if I'm writing here name multiply by 3, right? What it will do, it will store the result into m name, right? If I write here m name, you can see the result here, right? So what it is doing, it is creating the multiple instances or joining the multiple instances of the content of the variable, right? So if we are not able to add the content of the variable, right, directly inside the variable, because these variables are immutable in nature. These variables are immutable in nature. So when these variables are containing the data, that means it is containing that amount, that data only. It will not contain the extra data. So this is the replication thing regarding string. Okay, so let me take this example over here in our notes. So replication of string. So this is the replication of string, right? So string replication took place. Okay, a replication of strings took place over here. Fine. So this is a string, and let me talk about very simple thing regarding uh, evaluation of arithmetic expression, right? Then I can jump to a topic called type conversions. Evaluating arithmetic expression, what will happen? Okay, we write here value. We write the operator. We write the operator. Again, we write down the value, and it will evaluate. Right? So evaluate each of its operands or arguments and perform implicit conversions. Right? And evaluate. It will evaluate operand, each of its operand, any implicit conversion. It can promote int to float or bool to int. We can promote bool to int, right? For arithmetic on mixed expression. For arithmetic on mixed expression. So, and it will compute the result based on the operator. Okay. So let me talk about here implicit type conversion, right? So this is the topic which I want to jump. Implicit type conversion, correlation. So what will happen here? Okay, here the type will be converted. One data type will be converted to another type, right? So an implicit type conversion is a conversion performed by the interpreter. So there is a without programmer intervention, right? Because your intervention is not needed, Python will do it by itself, right? Say for example, let me consider few things over here. Say for example, if we consider ch is equal to 5, I is equal to 2, fl is equal to 4, dB is equal to 5.0, fd is equal to 36, right? And I want to execute one expression like this. Say A is equal to ch plus I divided by dB, right? So how the Python will interpret this? You need to understand this. So first, this parenthesis will evaluate it. So the value of ch is int, the value of I is int, right? And the result is also integer. The result is also integer. So there is no type conversion is being done over here, right? So now dB. So dB is float, right? dB is float. So dB is float. And now we need to calculate these two, right? So now the result is float. And here in this step, in this step, type is promoted to type int type. Sorry, int type is promoted to. But here, when it is performing this two calculations, there is no type conversion. There is no type conversion. Right? So type conversion will occur when two different data types are evaluating. So let me take another expression here for the same variable values. Say for example, I'm taking it as B is equal to FD divided by DB multiply by CH by 2. Right? So here first these two will execute FD, which is FD is integer, right? FD is, let me make it float, 36.0. So FD is float and DB is also float. So DB is also float, right? So first these two will evaluate and the result is also in float. So there will be no type conversion is going to happen over here, right? So now this is int. This one is int. CH is int. So now int is promoted to float. Now int is promoted to float in the system, right? Here int is promoted. Now 2 is this is int and it is promoted to float. Now 2 is int again, and this is float. So if we evaluate this, right? If we evaluate this, we'll get float here, right? So again, int is promoted to float, right? So for example, there is another expression. So c is equal to 5 divided by 2, right? So if you execute this and if you print c, right, you will get 2.5. But here you can see that, okay, this is int, this one is int, this one is int, right? But when Python divides these two things, it will up, the result is not an integer, so result is in float, right? So Python will update, right? Python will update the data type from int to float automatically, right? You don't have to worry regarding this. So now you can see that, okay, if I write here, say c is equal to c is equal to, let me write it in this way. Say x is equal to 5. So now we can see the type of x. So type of x. So type of x is integer, you can see. Now we write here y is equal to 2. So now you can see the type of y. Type of y is also integer. Now I'm writing here c, which is equal to x divided by, here c, you can see that the result is 2.5. So because C, the result is converted automatically by the Python. So this is what is called implicit typecasting, right? So I'm teaching you this thing because you should be aware of this thing, because Python is doing itself, right? So when you do bigger calculations, so you can remain, you will remain your caution on, and you will be conscious, right, while doing. I hope I have cleared the concept regarding the arithmetic expression and the implicit typecasting. So we have seen the evaluation of relational expression, right? If we write a relational expression like in Python, if we write a relational expression like if we write here, say for example, we have variables like a equal to 10, right? We have variable b is equal to 23. Have a variable c is equal to 23. Okay. If I write here a is less than b, right? So it will generate true. Okay. So this is called relational expression, right? So when you evaluate relational expression, you always get the result as true or false. If you write here b double equal to c, you will get true. And if you write here b not equal to c, you will get false, right? So relational expression always evaluate to either true or false. Okay. So same thing happens in the evaluation of logical expression also, right? So evenly we have done the logical expressions a lot, right? So I'm not dealing with the logical expressions now. Let me jump to the next topic, right? So the next topic is typecast. So here I'm talking about explicit typecasting. Explicit typecasting, right? So what is explicit typecasting? So an explicit type conversion casting user defined conversion forces an expression. So how it is done? It is done like this. Okay, we write here data type. We write here data type. In the bracket, we write down our expression. So this is how we, so for example, we want to convert a particular thing into integer. So we write int, right? And we write the, say I want to convert 12.22 into int. So it will be converted to int, right? And the result is 12. Okay. So it is possible, right? So to perform the data conversion, right? Python has provided methods, right? Python has provided the conversion. So generally in Python, right, all the data types in Python are immutable, right? All the data types, data types, all the all the Python fundamental data types, all the Python data types, fundamental data types are immutable. So I hope you people have understood the concept of immutable. Immutable means not changeable, right? You cannot, when you store the data, you cannot change the data in Python variable. What you have to do, you have to uh, you have to change the reference. You have to change the reference of the data, right? So that is what you have to. So all the data types in Python. So can you tell me what are the fundamental data types in Python? Right? Can you name the all the fundamental data types in Python? I've already done. What are the fundamental data types in Python? Just name the fundamental data types in Python in chat window. Yeah, Sudhir, so we talk about exams later on. Right, let me do the class first and then I will talk about exams. Currently, I'm talking about the Python fundamental types. If you can't answer the Python fundamental types properly, you can't do well in the exam also. Right? No one has answered the Python fundamental types correctly. So in Python, there are 5 fundamental types. Always remember, right? See the previous videos also. I have uh, when I'm taking class, I don't talk about future, right? Talk about present in the class, just present in the class. Okay. So don't talk about anything in future, right? So just try to be present in the class. So try to answer the question which I've asked. I've asked what are the fundamental types in Python. I didn't got the answer, right? So there are 5 fundamental types in Python. First, fundamental should be very much strong, right? First fundamental is going to be very much strong. Then you can move ahead. Otherwise, it will be very much difficult in Python. So Python fundamental types are int, float, right? Int, float, then complex, bool. The next thing is str. So these are the 5 fundamental types, right? So when anyone has asked you, when anyone will ask you what are the fundamental types in Python, so your answer will be this, not list, not tuple, not dictionary. I didn't taught you all these, that is why, right? Your fundamental types should be this. Your fundamental types should be this, and I taught it many times, right? At least 2 to 3 times. So this class is a kind of a revision class of fundamental types. Your fundamentals should be very much strong, right? Without, if your fundamentals is not going to be strong, then you are not going to do well in the examination, right? I'm very much damn sure, because they will ask you this time only the objective questions, and objective questions needs fundamental. Your fundamental should be very much strong for the objective questions. Otherwise, you can't answer objective questions perfectly, right? And you do silly mistakes and you will lose marks, right? So this is for everyone. So please read my notes properly, right? If you want to do well, read my notes properly, see my videos again and again. So this is a basic question which I've asked. So now I will show you how to convert from one data type to another data type. Okay, say from, so first we study about integer. First we try to study about integer. So integer, so first we cover this function, integer function, and here we supply float. Here we supply float because we want to convert float to int, right? Here we supply complex. Here we supply complex to int. Here we supply bool to int, and here we try to supply string, and we try to see the result whether the string is converting to integer or not, right? So let me do the experiment in the shell. The shell is this, so integer, and I'm passing a value 123.456. So this value is of type float. So I pressed enter key, and now you can see that okay, it is producing the result 123. That means 0.456 is discarded because it is taking only the integer part. So I'm able to convert float type from float type to int type. Okay. So let me try to supply complex number. So integer 10 plus, so this is a complex number type, right? And I'm trying to convert the complex to integer type, and I'm getting a type error. Can't convert complex type to int type. So we cannot convert complex type to int type. So we are sure about it. So let me type here integer. So this is a Boolean type, right? So I passed Boolean and it is working. So let me try with false also. False is also a Boolean. So Boolean is converted to integer, right? So let me try with string. So integer. So I am writing here 10. Let me see whether it is working or not. It is working. So 10 is converted to integer. So let me type here floating point values like in this. So I have written here 10.5. So 10.5 is a floating point value and it is present in a string. So now it is showing the error, right? So invalid literal for int with the base 10. So it will accept only integer values in the string to convert it into int. Otherwise it will not work. Okay. So this is another problem. So we have got the value error. So let me try to convert integer with the binary value. Integer and I have written here 0b and I'm writing here 1 1. Wow, it's working. So so it will generate, it can convert the binary value into integer also. Okay. So for float it is working, for bool it is working, for string it should contain only decimal decimal value. Otherwise it should contain the number in the decimal number form. It will not contain the if it contains the floating point number, then it will not work. Okay. So let me copy this, all these. So for float it is working, right? For complex, for complex it is generating the type error. For complex it is generating the type error. It is not working. For boolean, for boolean value, for bool it is working, right? Say then for string, then for a string, for string only only decimal values, only decimal type is allowed. Type is allowed. So decimal means there are different number systems are also there, right? So there are two kinds of number system, the three kinds of number system which we have studied in our mathematics. One is decimal, another one is floating point, and we know complex, right? There are three things. So in the string, if decimal type is there, then it will work. Decimal, or we can say that this is integer types. Integer type, it will work. For string only decimal or integer type or integer type, then it will work, right? So say for example, if you write here, so you say that sir 10 is working, right? Then if you write here integer ten, let me see whether this works or not. So now it is generating another error. So value error, invalid literal for integer function with base 10. So it is showing you that it is only working with the base 10 values, right? So this will also not work. So you take this thing in your notes also. So this will also not work. Fine. So let me do it with the floating points. So how we can convert float? So we write here float, and we try to insert here. We try to insert here. We try to insert. What are the values we try to insert? We try to insert here int. We try to insert here complex. We try to insert here int, complex, bool, and we try to insert here string. And let's see what are the different data types it is converting. So we go to shell and we will start writing. So we write here float, and first I will provide integer value 10. So now it is working. For integer value it is working comfortably. Now we supply the complex value float 5 plus 2j. So I've supplied the complex value and it is producing the error. Complex cannot be converted to float, right? So it is generating the type error. Now I'm writing here bool value float. Bool value is working fine. Float false. So true and false both are working fine here. Now I'm writing here. I have to pass string float. I passed here 10. And let me see whether it is working or not. Yes, it's working fantastically. And then I'm writing here float. 10.5. So it is converting the 10.5 into float. No, it is. Oh, I have written the, sorry, I have written the spelling wrong. So I'm writing. Now you can see 10.5 is also working. Okay, float 10.5. So if you write here float or 10, whether it is working or not. So it is not working. We are converting from float. So you can see that float, this is integer we are passing. This is integer. For integer it is working. For int, conversion is done properly. For complex number, for complex it is not working. For complex it will not convert the complex value into float, right? It will generate type error, right? For bool, it is working fine, right? And for string str, if it is number, if it is int or floating point, it will work properly. It will work properly. Other values will not work. Will not work. Right? You can try to convert the binary numbers also, binary hexadecimal, right, with float. So you are passing a binary number here, say 0b, and you are passing 1110. So this is 14, right? So it's working fine. You can pass hexadecimal number also. So you write here 0x, right? A. So A is a hexadecimal number, and you can see the value of the hexadecimal. So it will work with the binary values and the hexadecimal also, right? So you can at home you can play with it with this, right? So as much as you play like a computer game with Python, it will help you to learn the concept. Str should be int type or float type with base 10. Str type should be int type or float type type, right? With base 10, with base 10 values, base 10. Let me try the float with, uh, say for example, I'm passing float. I'm passing a binary value as a string, right? So I'm writing here 0b11, right? So 0b11 is a value of 3, right? So it is producing the error, right? So that is what I have written. Okay, it should be of type 10 in a string, for the string, right? So it will produce the error, right? So this is what I have written. So string type, so str type should be int type or float type with base 10, right? Otherwise it will not work in string. Okay, understood? So this is the note which you have to cautiously use, right? So now next is complex. So COMPX. So in complex, what we are going to feed, we are going to feed here. Uh, we are going to feed here. So we are going to feed here. What is the problem? Let me write it again. MPLEX complex. And here we are going to feed. Here for complex, we are going to feed. So for complex here, we are going to feed int, float, right? str and bool, right? So let me see what it will work, right? For complex, right? For complex, there are two methods, right? For complex, for complex, right? There are two forms, right? complex is having two forms. Complex, right? There are two forms of complex. A form one is complex, and you can put here x, right? And the form two, we have complex. We have x comma y. We have x comma y. This two, right? So this one will generate. The first one will generate. The first one will generate x plus 0j, right? The second one will generate x plus yj, right? So these two are basically, you can say that, overloaded functions. Overloaded. So first we study form 1 and then we study form 2, right? So now you can see that, okay, when I'm using form 1, right, I'm passing here, I'm writing here complex, and I passed here 4. Now you can see that it has generated a value 04 plus 0j. So this is the form 1. So here I have entered the integer value, and now you can see the result. Okay. So let me put more types of values here. So say we have placed integer. Now we try with the floating point value. So now you can see that Kit is working with the floating point type. So now we write here complex, and here I'm passing here a string, right? So this string is containing a number called 10. So now you can see that it is working with string. Okay. So now I'm writing here complex, and in the string I'm passing the decimal point here, 10.5. You can see that it is working with that also. Okay. And we have done int, float, string. Then we have to check with the boolean. So I'm writing here complex true. You can see that it is working fine. So I'm writing here complex false. Then it will generate 0j, right? Understood? So this is how it is working fantastically. Now if I write here complex, and if I write in word 10, then what it will show? It will show, okay, it's showing error, right? If I'm writing here a binary value, say complex, and I'm taking a binary value like this 0b111. So 1111 is 7. So it will print 7 plus 0j, right? So it's working fine. But if you pass complex, the binary value in string, it will generate the similar kind of an error which has generated earlier also, the value error. The complex argument is malformed string, right? So it will not work. Fine. So it will work with the normally with everything, right? This is the form 1 examples. So you write it over here. Fine. So this is the form 1 examples. Fine. The next thing is let me do the form 2 examples also. Right. So in form 1 you can see that it is working fine with integer. It is fine with integer is fine. Right. Integer is fine. Then float is also fine, right? String, it is fine, right? If the number is of type base 10, it is okay. It is okay. Okay. Then this is fine here, right? For bool, it is fine. For bool, it is working fine, right? And then for this string, it's not accepting, it's generating the value error, right? If numbers are not present, if base 10 numbers are not present, base 10 numbers are not present in string, are not present in string, then it will generate error. Then it will generate error. Generate error. Okay. So this is a story of type 1. So let me do the type 2, right? The second form of complex. So form 2 complex is complex x comma y. So here we will have more combination. So for example, x and y can be of type int, float, right? String, then bool, right? They can be both. There can be int combination. The combination may be int. The combination may be int, float, right? Float. String, right? Bool. Okay. So we can have many combinations here. We can have one combination integer and boolean also. That is also possible, right? So let's go to the shell and work it out. So now you can see it clearly here. So complex, and I'm passing here 5 comma 7. So both are integer, and now you can see the result 5 plus 7j, right? So it's working fantastic. So now complex, if you write here 5.5 comma 7.7. 7.7. Now you can see the result 5.5 plus 7.7j. It's working fine. Now you write complex, if you write 5.5 comma 5.5 comma 7, right? Now you can see that it is working float and int. Now I am writing here complex, say I'm writing here 7 comma 5.5, right? So this is also working fine. Now I'm writing here complex. So integer and float experiment is done. So let me put here complex, and we write the real value as a string 7, right? And here I'm writing one integer value 7. Okay. So it is saying that key the first value is a string, then second argument. If the first argument is string, cannot take the second argument, right? If the first argument is string, it will not work with the second argument. Okay. So what do? Okay, you write here complex. So first argument is integer, and the second argument is string, right? So now you can see that second argument cannot be string. Okay, so it will not work with two arguments. When two arguments, if any one of them is string, then it will not work. Okay, so if you write here complex, and if you write the normal 8, right, and it will work like this, but it will not work with integer or float with the string, right? Understood? So string is basically not allowed when we are using two argument. When we are using two argument, string is basically not allowed, but for single argument, string is allowed. Okay. So so it will generate type error if we are using string arguments, right? Okay, so it will work with this. It will be very much comfortable with if you supply a binary value 0x111 comma. Say you have supplied one so 0b binary value, right? And here you have supplied 0x1 hexadecimal value, right? So this is 7 and this one is 10. So you can see that it is working fine with binary and the hexadecimal value, but it will not work with string at all. All right. This is regarding complex. So this is the example of complex. Okay. So for if both are integer, it's working fine. For int, comma int, it is working fine. For float, comma float, it is working fine. Then float, comma int, it is working fine. Then int comma float, it is working fine, right? Then string comma int, it's not working, right? And here if we are supplying here int comma string, it str is not working, string, it is not working, right? So it will generate type error, right? But for the single argument it will work. For single string argument argument of of form 1, it will work, it will work. Okay, but for form 2, but for form 2 form 2 of complex x comma y, str is not applicable at all. Str argument is not applicable at all. At all. Fine. The next thing is bool, right? So next concept is for bool. So bool, and we are going to. So here we are going to put here. If we are going to put here we can put integer, we can put a float, we can put str, and we can put complex, right? So here we are going to use the concept called non-zero value. Non-zero value is always true, is always true, right? Zero is always false, is always false, right? So this is the concept which we are going to use over here, right? So we go to shell and we type here bool, right? If we type here -10, what will be the output? Please type on the chat window. Yeah, true. So the answer is true. Why you people are typing so late? I don't know. So the answer is true, right? If I write here Boolean and if I put here 0, right? Because -10 is non-zero, but I'm writing here 0, so it will generate false, right? If I write bool, if I write bool 0.0, so 0.0 is also a 0, so it will generate false. If I write bool 0.00001, so it will generate true, right? Because it is a non-zero value. Okay. If I write here boolean bool, right? If I write here 1 plus 2.1 j, so this is a complex, so it will generate true. If I write here bool 0 plus 0j, so it will generate false because this is representing 0, right? If I write here bool 0 plus 0.1j, right? It will generate true because it's a non-zero value, right? For string, right? For string, there is a rule, empty string, right? You have, I taught you all these truth values and all, right? So for empty string, right, it is false. And in all other cases, it is true, right? If I write here bool and I put the empty string, right, it will generate false. But if I write here bool and if I write in the string a only, it will generate true. Okay. Yeah, bool 0 will give you true. Bool 0 will give you true because 0 is a string. 0 is not a value here. 0 is a string, which is a value, right? It is a non-zero value. It is a non-zero value of type string. It will generate true. Okay, fine. Now, if you, these are the things which is possible in Boolean. So I've implemented complex integer float. So Boolean is working fine with everyone. So this is a bool examples. So bool will work for integer, right? Bool works with integer, fine. Float, fine, right? It works with complex, right? It works with str, okay, no problem. So now the next type is string type, right? So what are the things we can convert it into string? Str, right? Str. So str basically no restriction, right? We can convert restriction, no restriction. Any type will be converted into string type. Any type will be converted into string type, into str type, okay, into str type, fine. So let's go to shell and we try to convert, right? So we write here str and I'm writing here 10. So now you can see that 10 is converted into string str 3.123. So now you can see that float is converted into string, right? I'm writing here str 10.5 plus 2j is converted complex into string, is converted perfectly, right? So I have converted this. Now I'm writing here str and I'm writing here true. So you will find that that true is converted into string properly. If you write here str false, false. So this will be converted into string, right? So you can convert anything into string type. Control V. Okay, this is the string type. Fine. So this is how explicit type conversion we can use, right, in our life. So so typecasting, there is a issue with the typecasting. One small issue with the typecasting. One small issue with the typecasting. Typecasting done explicitly, right? We lose, we lose, we lose data. We lose data, right? What we lose data, right? We lose data. So you have to use the typecasting whenever it is required. You try to give the special character in single quotes, it will not give you error, right? I think you have given. I'm talking about data. I'm not talking about you are entering, you are writing str and here you are writing at the rate, right? It will give you an error. I'm talking about at the rate is not a data. Dollar is not a data. Exclamation mark is not a data. I'm talking about data types like integer, float, right? Int, float, right? Bool, na complex. These are data, right? So I'm talking about data. I'm not talking about special characters. Fine. So before asking a question, you should think about it, what you are asking, right? So typecasting, this is a small issue. You lose some of the data, but anyhow, but we reach our whatever the thing we need, we can do that with the data. So now I'm going to teach you some important thing called working with some standard module. What does this, what does it mean? Syntax error, that means it is expecting data and you have supplied some keyboard value which is not required, so that is why it is giving you. Oh, okay, okay, fine. So let me talk about some standard library modules we can work with. This line, a small issue means कि, say for example, when we do typecasting, we lose data. Say for example, we are converting 10.5 to integer, so we will lose zero point 0.5, right? But for in future you may need zero point 0.5, right? So in that case you have lost zero point 0.5. So be sure when you are doing typecasting. That is the thing, right? So be sure when we are doing typecasting, when it is required, use it, right? When it is not required, then don't use it. Okay. So that is why I have written this line. Okay. So that is why I have written this line. Okay. So next thing is that working with some standard module, working with some standard library modules. Yes, modules, right? So here we are going to use some modules, right? So, so what is a module first, right? What control I? So what is module? So the answer is a Python module. A Python module is a file. A Python module is a file which contains some variable, which contains some variables and constants, some function, some functions, objects defined in it, defined, right? Which can be used in other Python programs, which can be used in in other Python programs, programs. Fine. So what we can do here, okay, we can import the Python's standard module. Like, say for example, we can write here import, right? And if you write here math, okay, so you can write here import and math to import the math module, right? To import the math module, you can type import math, right? Then you can use, then you can use, then you math library functions, libraries functions, right? As so, how you will use? You have to type here math dot. What you have to do? You have to type math. We change the line here. You will type here math dot, right? The function name, function, right? Then automatically you can use, right? Okay. So let me show you how to use it. Say for example, I want to find out the square root, right? So I want to find out the square root. So I have written sqrt of 10. So it is producing an error. It is not defined. But I have to, what I have to do, I have to write here import math. If I write here import math, so math library is imported in my shell, right? So math library is imported in my shell, and now I can write math dot sqrt of 10 or 100. So sqrt of 100 is 10. So it is finding out the square root of the number, right? So there are huge number of functions present in the math module. So this is one of the function. Fine. So there is a function called square root. There is a function called ceil also. Say math dot ceil ceil. If I write here 10.3, it will make it 11, right? So math dot ceil, right? If I write here math dot floor, if I write here math dot floor, and if I write here 11.8, it will make it 11. Okay. So if I write here math dot floor, and if I write here minus 11.8, so what will be the value of minus 11.8 in floor? Please type. So Tirtha was asking, sir, isn't there a way to conserve the data? Minus 11.8 I've written, not minus 11. Floor means it will going to the next. The floor function returns the largest integer, not the greater than number. Okay, you write it down. The floor function returns the largest integer, not greater than num. So what it will return? So you it will return you minus 12, right? So if you write here math dot ceil, ceil means ceiling, right? If you write here minus 10.3, 10 point, so it will return you minus 10, because minus 10 is a greater value than minus 10.3, right? Minus 11.8, right? Minus 11.8, next smaller value is minus 12. So it is generating the minus 12. So is there any way to conserve it? Mm.
Sir, I mean conserve actually. Can we
Oh,
conserve the value in type conversion? Typecast?
no, no, it is not possible to conserve the lost values. It is not possible, right? Yeah, Saini, it is there in your book also. I'm just giving you the examples, how it has worked. So at home, you practice all these things. There are many things which you can practice, right? So I'm giving you the important functions which is going to may come in exams, like ceil, floor, fabs, right? So you can use these functions in your computer or in your device, right? And you read the book. It is there in your book. Okay. And if you are not reading the book, then you can go to the internet, right? So you go to the internet and type here in the Google. Go to Google and type here math module in Python. Math module. What happened to this? Oh, math module. Math module. Math module in Python, right? Then you will get this. Okay. Now you click on this. Now you click on the first link. It will show you in the documentation, right? Math.ceil, math.com. So this documentation, you read it and you can practice all the functions as much as possible, right? So there are many functions out there, and it's best option you see your book. And there are constants are also available. Say for example, math.py, math.e, math.tau, math.inf, right? So there are many constants are also available which you can use it in Python. Fine. So having fun with this, you can find out the factorial of the function. You can find out the floor. You can find out the f mod. You can find out the f rexp, right? Okay. So I will teach you few of them, but not in this class, not today. But I've just given you the introduction that math module is there. Okay, fine. So there are other modules are also there. So you just go through with the modules like like a random module is there. There's a module called statistics module is there, right? In Python, there are many modules are present already. In Python, you have many modules are there, right? You have to import the module in your program and use it. Okay. So I will go through with the math module. I will go through with the random module. I will explain you the statistics module also, right? In detail. Okay. Few functions I will do it with you people, right? The ceil function, the square root function, the exp function, the fab function, the floor function I will do. I will do the pow function. I will do yeah, that much is useful, right? Then I will show you how to use math.py, and then I will show you how to use math.e, right? What is enumerated constant? Okay. So these things I will show you, and I will show you few problems also. Then I will teach you how to use random module. Then I will teach you how to use statistics module in the next class. Okay. And then we will move to the next part of the, after that we will move to the next part of the conditional and the iterative statements, right? So that thing we will be doing in the next session or next Sunday. Okay. So let me stop the recording and we'll talk to you people.